Hey guys, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
And we're the Rambling Reviewers.
And today we started scrolling through Netflix and we came upon this weird little show about frogs, apparently. Yeah. And we ended up watching the entire thing, or the whole first season, which is the only season that exists so far. It's called Kulipari, Army of Frogs. Yeah.
So, welcome to episode 101.
101!
I was gonna make a joke about 101 Dalmatians, but no. This is just
Oh yeah, we could have done that movie. Anyway.
Yeah, but first I'd like to talk a little bit about what I consider the modern age of animation. I think it started. There's always been good cases of animation over the years. One of the earliest really good cartoons I can think of is Beast Wars. But in the modern years, there's been a trend in animation towards quality entertainment that everyone can appreciate.
Yeah.
Not just
It is
Bob.
not as segregated between the adults and the kids as it used to be.
It's not like Dora the Explorer. Constantly.
Yeah, it's not like stuff that would just bore the crap out of us, we reviewed Batman animated series early on, and that's an early example of something that could appeal to all ages.
Yeah, but in modern years, it's been much more consistent in how animation has been portrayed. Avatar: The Last Airbender, Legend of Korra, Steven Universe, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, what's it called? What was the Space Rock one? Oh, wait, I already said Steven Universe.
Yeah.
Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls, yeah, that's an important one too. Steven Universe even more so. My Little Pony. We should mention that. I mean, there's a number of adult fans. I think we've met a few of them.
Okay, but adult fans is not the same thing as adult themes. And,
well, all right. You could finagle the difference there a little bit. But the point is, we watched what is described on the Netflix description thing as a kids show, and we just binged the whole thing over last night and then today.
Yeah, part of the reason is that among the voice talents are Mark Hamill and Keith David.
Woo!
When you have the Joker and the Arbiter as starring roles, that's a thing you have to see.
Yeah, and then the first time the Arbiter speaks, you were like, oh my gosh, that's that voice. That's the best thing ever.
No, I said I need a cigarette.
Yeah, I know, you did say
eargasm,
that.
Man. It's an eargasm just hearing him speak. Okay, so this was actually based on a trilogy of books written by an ex-NFL player.
Really? Yeah, good for him having two careers.
Good for him not being isolated to one thing.
Yeah.
It's based, at least partially, on Aboriginal mythology, and before anyone says anything, no, I do not know how accurate it is to actual Aboriginal mythologies. I'm white. I've heard of this series yesterday.
I mean, I think, we wouldn't know much about it, would we?
I'm from Chicago.
Very far from Australia.
Yes, literally the opposite side of the frickin' planet.
The opposite side of the planet.
I know enough to know when it's sort of referencing it, but not enough to know anything else.
I think I had once heard of the Rainbow Serpent before, but honestly I'm not sure. I might be mixing that up with, Rainbow Warriors from this other culture.
Or, the Rainbow Bridge that connects Asgard and the Nine Realms.
Or Rainbow Road from Mario Kart.
Yeah, but I was thinking actual mythology.
That's a mythology. Somebody, in 1,000 years, people will be, rating the cave paintings of Mario Kart for some reason. Wow. Society's weird.
We're just gonna power on through that then.
Don't know.
Anyways, so Kulipari, Army of Frogs. Apparently, a long time ago, there was something called the Hiding Wars, which that's a good war when the implication is not that you fought, but that you were running away the entire time. Look, even the Human Covenant War over in Halo implied an actual war, even though it was mostly humans running away.
There actually was a war, lots of people died, but the end of the war was...
Yeah, it's just that the name sucks, is what I'm really getting at.
Yeah.
Where apparently the Scorpions tried to kill the frogs for some reason.
They want their land with all its lush water and plants and stuff, I would guess. Scorpions living in the desert, apparently that sucks.
Yeah, but scorpions already live in the desert, so they're adapted to that?
Maybe they like water anyway.
Maybe.
Or they're just jerks. They want to take other people's stuff. Maybe. I mean, Marmu is constantly going on about he wants to conquer the world. So.
Until the Turtle King, roll with it, came along to help the frogs and put up the veil, which is kind of a mystic force fieldy thing.
Yeah, it's a mystic force field and invisibility thing. So you walk into their territory, and you're basically still walking through the desert, even though really there's a whole lush green area there.
Yeah. So I don't know how that works.
Magic.
Yeah. Anyways, but we see Lord Marmu and his Scorpion army marching right up to the Veil and trying to go in, and then it looks like all his troops are tripping balls when they try to enter. It does not work. And then Lord Marmu speaks, and it's Keith David. And yes. Yes. I need a cigarette just hearing him talk.
You said that. Yeah, I know.
Well, it bears repeating.
All right. I mean, I don't know though. I mean, our younger fans, to the extent that we have fans, might not remember Halo 2. It's been a while.
You really should. Well, they released the 10th anniversary of that just
yeah,
a few years
that's true,
back.
That's true.
And honestly, Halo 2 still remains one of my favorite video game stories. Purely for the Arbiter storyline.
Yeah.
And that was where I was introduced to his amazing voice. Seriously, you will hear the Arbiter talk, and it makes you want to see the Arbiter fight Lord Marmu.
Ooh.
Or you could be like me and want to see the Arbiter fight everyone, so,
yeah.
you know, whatever.
That works. Point
Fun
is...
343 Industries, call me! I have so many ideas on what to do with Thelvadame! Or Thelvadam, I'm not really 100% sure which one he is now.
I don't know.
Well, you know, I've heard it said Thelvadame and Thelvadam. Those are both the names of the Arbiter, but...
Oh, right.
Yeah, before he had his name stripped from him and was...
yeah, I remember that cutscene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Point is, all the frogs live in a nation called the Amphibolans.
Which, yes, that is actually what they call it.
And I'm a little unclear, come to think of it, that one chief lady who makes the clam muffins is in charge of the entire nation? Because at first I thought she was just the mayor of that village. But really, the nation and village seems to be the same thing, even though they briefly mention the idea of other villages, but then they just collapse the distinction thereof.
Yeah, I think it's just for narrative convenience.
Yeah. Speaking of which, this thing is compressed compared to the books. This is a whole trilogy in 13 episodes, and the first 9 episodes are just the first book, so the next 2 books are in those remaining episodes.
The last 4.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're quickly introduced to Daryl, who wants to be a warrior.
Specifically, a Kulipari, which is their new name for the elite warriors.
We'll get into Kulipari in a little bit, but, so he's shown practicing with G, or Gi, or, actually, G.
G, sure.
Who is pretending to be a scorpion and is fat. Anyways, and we're also introduced to...
Korra?
Korra.
Just shows up from the Avatar universe.
No, we're joking about that, but she is a female healer who has Katara's voice actress and wears blue. I really wish that we could not do that joke, but it works.
Yeah, wait, is that the same voice actress? I was making sure that.
Yeah, it's absolutely the same voice actress.
It's funny that Wikipedia is not.
No. Look up Katara, not Korra.
Oh, well, good. Yeah, you said Korra.
That's her, because that's her name.
All right, whatever. I'll go Google things while you look up stuff. I mean, I'll
look up Avatar.
Yeah, I'll look up Avatar.
But
I'm not getting it, man. Maybe
what
it's
bullshit?
A sound-alike person. Look at us doing research in the middle of the episode. It does sound a lot like her. But, okay, regardless of what that is, and we could look that up later. The point is, she's a healer type. She's like, hey, did you guys get injured? I'm supposed to practice my healing if you guys don't get injured. What? You want to look up?
Okay, go to the cast page of whoever this person is.
Of whoever... I just did that. Her career filmography is right here.
Okay, Gypsy, Anastasia, well, Mean Girls, keep going. What if God were the sun? Reach for me, my sleep.
I haven't heard of most of these.
Well, is this film? Because I've heard her as a voice actress before.
Oh wait, television video games.
Okay. Let's see.
She was in
She was in Gargoyles, but that's
the
no.
Goliath Chronicles.
Okay, let's see. Lion King 2. No. One of the I think she was one of the muses, and let's see. let's see, a bunch of one-shot roles.
Young Justice is Zatanna.
She was Zatanna.
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
You know,
Yay,
okay,
Wikipedia.
I was wrong. She is not Katara, but she is still named Korra, wears blue, and is a healer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was wrong. But we quickly established that she's not, like, the chick.
Yeah, I like that. Even though she is, well, later
she's
on...
still the chick,
yeah.
but she's not the chick.
Yeah. I was just thinking how many other female characters I could name. But there's the chieftain is female, and the platypus girl we meet later. And, of course, the Spider Queen.
Doesn't really pass the Bechdel test, though, does it?
Doesn't actually pass the Bechdel test.
Which is bad, but you know what? I'm not really okay with it, but I'm okay with it at the same time.
it's still a good story overall, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so... Yeah, Korra, the first time we meet her, she is inspecting her friends for injuries, and we think, oh, okay, it's the stereotypical overprotective friends. But no, she wants them to be injured, so she has something to do because she's a healer, but everyone's really safe, so no one wants to get hurt.
Yeah, it's the first of many little moments that made us laugh and made us feel like the show was a little different, a little self-aware, and it was good. Some frogs are born with what they call poison, which essentially just means magic. It's not really necessarily treated like you would, think of poison.
Yeah,
normally.
so, and these are known as Kulipari, and they have special gifts and abilities and super strength.
Yeah, that's a little vague, actually. Sometimes they refer to Kulipari as anyone born with poison, and sometimes they seem to be thinking of it as people born with poison who have been trained and reached the rank of Kulipari. Because, like, the tadpole siblings he's got are, like, Kulipari, but, like, clearly not. But, like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Anyways, Daryl's dad was a Kulipari, but he doesn't have the poison, so he's not...
Daryl's dad died. Daryl himself does not have poison, yeah.
Yeah. So, it shows that he has an antagonistic-ish relationship with this guy named
Tree Frog dude. Whatever his name was.
Arbanu, a tree frog, a red-eyed tree frog, which is weird because most of this seems to take place in Australia, but aren't red-eyed tree frogs native to Brazil?
He migrated.
Oh. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Just migrating to Australia for the winter or something. No.
Anyways, he has a relationship with that guy in that he's antagonistic. The weird part is that they keep going, you'll never be a warrior, but they're clearly both martial artists who fight each other.
Yeah.
So I don't really know.
It won't be, the full strength warrior. I don't know.
Meanwhile, Lord Marmu and his awesome voice go to this group of spider people and ask for magical aid in bringing down the veil that protects the
amphibians.
Yes. Then, which it shows interesting character moments. For example, that Marmu is definitely skilled as a warrior. He's charismatic and he's very physically strong. But his brother Pigu is clearly the more politically astute one and serves as his right-hand man.
And tells him to please stop fighting once they summon the much larger ghost spider.
Yeah.
And Marmu actually has to, like, bow down to the queen there. And I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. You established such a badass villain, and then, wait, there's someone else already more powerful than him, at least in this moment.
It also establishes that at this point in the series, Marmu is capable of taking blows to his pride if it means advancing his ultimate goals.
Yeah, so you know what?
He's ruthless, but he has an element of pragmatism to him.
He has, over the course of the series, a character development, but it's like negative character development where he gets worse. You know, which is like, I mean that in a story-based way. It's positive. This is a man whose flaws overcome him and becomes, less reasonable as time goes by.
Instead of, say, Ranma 1/2, where people have character flaws and then they completely overtake them and become the characters.
Yeah. So it wasn't exactly Flanderized. It was more just, hey, here's a guy who took the wrong path and became bad for his own people.
Became worse and worse as time went on, but in a way that you could understand.
Yeah.
Instead of just, he became worse because fuck this character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jara is voiced by some person who I've heard absolutely everywhere but can't remember her name.
I'll go find it.
Or anything that she's done specifically. Let's see. Like she's always a female villain or something. I don't know, and I don't really particularly care. Anyways, so she says, "Oh yeah, I used to be the student of the Turtle King, but he was hiding magical secrets from me. So I want to bring down the Amphibolans, the Veil, because then the Turtle King will come and I can kill him."
Mm-hmm. So they formed this uneasy alliance, and it's kind of neat just wondering like who's gonna get the the upper hand in the end or whatever.
She was Pacha's wife in Emperor's New Groove.
Oh.
And sadly, that's like the best role I can think of her from, because I know she's done stuff.
She was in the Kung Fu Panda TV series, apparently,
which is best forgotten. It's not. I've seen the Kung Fu Panda TV series. It's not great.
Yeah.
Like it's average.
Yeah, a lot of these spin-off things are like that.
Which is a shame because the How to Train Your Dragons TV series was awesome and actually connected the movies. Well, whatever.
Oh
well. Anyways, so she says, "Okay, so I need you to go get dirt from the site of the last battle between you guys and the frogs." So they do, and then she's like, "Okay, using this, I can allow you to go inside the Amphibolans." Well, why don't you do that for everyone?
I'm guessing it's quantity of dirt per person you can cast a spell on. She did specifically say, you 6 people and you alone can go through the Amphibolans, and there's only so much dirt around.
Maybe, yeah. Anyway, because we're introduced to more of the supporting cast, like Daryl's mother, and we're shown that Daryl is supportive of his family, and he does love them.
Yeah.
And that his younger siblings do have the potential to become Kulipari, meaning that they are all red,
all brightly colored.
And they glow. And they have venom. But he doesn't, and that rattles him because he really wants to be a Kulipari like his father was, but he doesn't have those powers. Which is good. Because too many stories go, okay, you automatically have this special power chosen by destiny.
Yeah.
But no, this proves that the normal guy is the one that everyone's going to eventually
rally around, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because like in Naruto, it's, you've got the spirit of the nine-tailed fox or whatever that gives you special powers. And in My Hero Academia, he does earn it, but nevertheless, he gets early on a special power that then he has to develop.
But admittedly, everyone has a special power.
Yeah,
and
well, this is less formally special and more like he's just training himself. He's kind of the Batman of this world in that little area there. I don't have the powers, but dang it, I'm going to be effective anyway.
If anything, he's more like Ted Kord or something. I mean, not Ted Kord. What's the guy I'm thinking of? Like Wildcat or one of the other non-powered heroes in comics.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Batman. That's an entirely different...
I know that's a different character type. I just meant in that one area. The trope name is Badass Normal.
He's a badass normal, and I like that. We don't get enough of that in fiction.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, I have the power of bullshit with who knows how many special secret abilities.
And he never gains it either. He never halfway through the season he does a magic thing and becomes, Kulipari.
Which I was expecting, just because that's how this sort of thing usually works.
Yeah, nope. Just dealing without it. Effective anyway. Done.
Yep.
Right, cool.
Unfortunately, he's really obsessed with becoming Kulipari, so eventually he starts fighting with
Arabanu
and wrecks the village. And even though Arabanu was responsible for half of that and provoked him into the fight, Daryl is the one who gets all the punishment.
Yeah, that was kind of vague.
Yeah,
I guess Daryl maybe did more of it, accidentally, but more directly involved in that.
Yeah, so...
Anyway, so he has to go repair everything, which it turns out he never gets around to doing that because other stuff's going on. He tries to talk with the chief. The chief actually has a few lines in there about how, look, war is not fun in games. It's, painful.
And the series actually bears that out. They show people dying and...
There's a number of times you think someone's dead and they come back, which kind of undercuts that.
Okay,
More recently, when people have died and towards the end of the series, I'm like, wait, are you dead or are you coming back like the last guy? I don't know which emotional note I'm going for yet. But okay, he talks to this hermit guy.
Jeer,
yeah. Old Jeer, they call him. who turns out is his trainer and has been training him all this time. That's how he knows kung fu tactics and stuff.
Yeah, he used to be a Kulipari, actually.
Yeah.
It's just that it turns out that if you can actually burn out your Kulipari-ness, which we'll get to in a bit, and says, I'm going to go climb to the top of this Mount Eternal Suicide or something. No, it's not really Mount Eternal Suicide, but I'm just trying to... I can't remember the real name of it.
Mount Deadly, but it's named after this one tree.
That grows at the top of the
magic tree. Whatever.
Thing, and only Kulipari can get to it. Everyone else just fucking dies.
So he's like, I'm going to climb it anyway.
And everyone else calls him a frickin' moron.
Yeah.
They are right, too.
But it turns out that very day is when scorpions are showing up, and they're using web nets to fly, which is a real thing that spiders do. Some species of spider.
Yeah, which is cool, because it's inventive.
Yeah. So they're just flying straight to the top of the mountain, and I would say they're going to chop down the tree. Actually, they're trying to uproot the tree. The idea is, you see, with the dirt, she can get like a few people into the veil. If she gets the tree, she can turn off the veil entirely. Because
the tree was blessed by their god, the Rainbow Spirit.
Rainbow Serpent, yeah.
Rainbow Serpent, and the Rainbow Serpent's energy is woven into the veil, so it's a sort of sympathetic magic sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which my question is, why didn't they try to... If this thing makes, like, super medicine, why haven't the frogs tried to cultivate this thing elsewhere?
I don't know. Really hard to cultivate.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's for the purposes of the narrative, but at the same time, if this thing makes super medicine, maybe start up, like, a grove of them somewhere? Maybe?
Yeah,
guys?
Nice.
You used to have, like, 50 Kulipari. You couldn't just send some of them up the mountain to pick some of the seeds, plant them down at the base of the mountain, so we didn't have to die to get this thing?
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Anyways, the scorpions actually succeed in bringing the tree down the mountain.
Like lowering it down with these cables made of web. But Daryl messes up that plan and actually sends the tree tumbling. You're like, crap, gonna break the tree. No, okay, it's fine. It's in the river now. But now the scorpions are going to get the thing there. And his friend G, who sort of witnessed the scorpions, is running back to the village at this point to go warn everybody. And then Daryl goes to take down this dam that'll flood downriver where the scorpions are. And it takes him a while. He's like, dang it, what is even keeping you up? I sliced all the things.
This scene actually establishes that Daryl and G both are capable of thinking on their feet and are kind of effective combatants.
Yeah.
At this point in the series. Daryl actually sort of wins. He manages to drive all of the scorpions out.
Yeah, convinces them he's a Kulipari along the way.
Even though he's not.
Even though he's not. Pigo.
I want to go
Pigo manages to get like a sprig from the tree.
So that both establishes that the villains are a threat and that they're somewhat effective even if they didn't succeed in their mission. They're not Team Rocket.
Yeah. So he gets a sprig of the tree and gets away, and
they've also taken G.
Well, that's just it, though. Is that for a while there, I was assuming G was safe. And then it's, wait, no, they actually captured him. Wait, off screen. Oh my gosh, what? More things are happening. That's cool.
The next few episodes are basically, we're hunting for G.
Yeah. Now, just because we mentioned the dam scene, let's take a small detour to talk about the animation in this series, which is sometimes good and sometimes weirdly bad. And I could only assume that's a budget issue. Sometimes they resort to conspicuous CGI, and you can, like, see when the water was going, some of the shots was like this weird blob that looked nothing like water. It's like
at most it looked like mud.
It's like blue blob thing.
And then you had at other points it was we suddenly ran out of animation budget, so it looks like it was done by the crew that did Archer back in like season 1 of Archer.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking Fate Stay Night Archer. I'm talking, Archer. And not Star Trek Enterprise Archer. I'm talking about the spy.
And not Robin Hood.
Yeah, the spy Robin. I mean, the
Spy Robin Archer, a new series.
No, the spy show Archer, like season 1 of that.
Right.
But then at other points, it's really good animation that you'd see in like Avatar or Legend of Korra. Yeah. It's just inconsistent, and it does pull you out of the action which is a shame because the story is good.
The story is good, yeah. Not as deep as Avatar, but still good.
No, of course not. But it's still a good story.
Yeah.
Eventually, Daryl tracks them down to the Scorpion camp, where then wacky hijinks ensue. We see that the bad guy force is multinational.
Oh, yeah. They have lizard mercenaries working for them. And they also got Komodo dragons, which are just steeds to ride on.
Which, as TV Tropes notes, is weird because Komodo dragons are actually some of the most intelligent lizards on the planet.
Oh, well, mix that up. I like how they keep adding more details to the world. It's neat when your hero's not just, oh, he's facing danger, oh, more danger, okay, now he's fine, and then, like, that's all the only variable going back and forth. Instead, it's, alright, so there's a world-building thing going on every time you, like, meet anyone. Like, we meet this one scorpion lady who apparently sharpens scorpion tails and stuff, and she's got a personality all her own. And then we meet, there are some frogs actually in the scorpion camp, a sandpiper frog specifically, and they're all very Gollum-esque and talking about, like, gross things all the time, and they're considered emergency rations, and they're low-level workers and stuff. And at one point, Daryl is pretending to be one of them when he gets caught eavesdropping on Lord Marmu, and the lizard guy's like, hey, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I'm sweeping. He changes his voice all of a sudden. He's like, you're sweeping the floor with your hands? Oh, so that's my problem. Oh, I see. And it was
You're
funny.
sweeping the dirt floor of dirt with your hands. Oh, that's my problem.
Yeah.
Which, admittedly, it works for the sandpiper frogs.
And then he gets kind of caught anyway, and then he says, well, I'll fight for you, and whatever. And Mom was like, okay, fine, just send him off to the lizards, see if they can train him to fight. I don't give a dang. So then he ends up training with those people and meeting Skink.
I don't think she has a name, but she's a skink.
I never heard of this word before, so I was all
it's a type of lizard.
Yeah.
But the way two things are unique about her. One, she's voiced by Cree Summers. I don't care if, like, Wikipedia says differently. I know Cree Summers' voice. Okay. That is Cree Summers.
I'll just leave it there.
Unfortunately, Cree Summers doesn't have a whole lot of range, so you can easily tell.
Oh, I see.
Cree Summers. But two, she appears to be flying most of the time because even though she has like a normal humanoid body, she has a massive tail that she suspends herself from and uses that to fight and move around.
Yeah.
Which is just so unique in its own way.
Yeah, there's little ideas like that that make the thing, come alive.
A little more interesting than just, you could have easily made all of these guys as carbon copies of one another, big, huge, hulking lizards with scimitars or something. Yeah. But no, like, all the lizards have slightly different designs.
Yeah, slightly different
Some of them look really derpy, though, but still, they look different and cool. And the way they move around is different and cool.
Yeah.
And they form like a rivalry, Daryl and this skink lady.
Yeah, I hope she shows up again later. That'd be nice.
Yeah, he keeps calling her Snake, and then eventually, when he does show that he does respect her, he calls her Skink. But her thing is, she doesn't want to be called a snake, she wants to be called a skink. So it goes, thank you, you skink. I keep telling you, I'm not a snake. Oh, you called me the right thing. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, there's a little character arc between them. What do you know?
I mean, it's like not much, but it's always nice to see that there's lasting consequences between interactions and characters.
Yeah, right. It's not all about just the plot coupons and whatever. It's like actual characters have feelings about things.
Yeah.
So he's trying to figure out how to rescue G. And G is guarded by this one lizard
who looks like a Krogan.
And there's this bit where the guard is napping next to this ledge, and he's like, "All right, well, I can get a heavy rock and I'll drop it on him from just over the ledge." And then he hauls the rock over, and then the guy, like, gets up and moves 10 feet and falls asleep again. He's like, dang it! And they have to go with a completely different plan.
No, they just leave. They just put down the rock, and they just leave.
Well, that's it, yeah, because the idea was, he can get Guy out of his cage. I'm like, oh, the cage isn't locked, that's dumb. But he's weighed down with the ball and chain thing, so we gotta get the key from the guy to, like, unlock the ball and chain. And then, when they're unable to knock him out in his sleep, ironically, knock him out again, whatever, then, like, okay, we'll just carry the ball and chain. And they have to, like, carry this heavy thing, and then it's, okay, G, you know what, I'll set you up and dress you as a dummy, and then put that on wheels of the wheelbarrow, like I'm transporting this dummy from here to there, and then Skink shows up and starts beating up G, not realizing he's the dummy, and then she takes the wheelbarrow for some reason, like, dang it!
And we never learned what the wheelbarrow
No,
was
she was doing with the
too.
wheelbarrow. And then like, okay, we'll just run with the thing. And then the ball and chain starts rolling, which is actually impossible if you're on a chain like that, but whatever. And he like drags him away. And then at one point we put the ball in like a bucket of goo and whatever, and they're pretending to be sandpiper frogs and walking around. And then they meet that lady who sharpens scorpion tails, and she's like, "Hey, what's in the bucket?" And he's like, plums. Really? Plums? I thought you said, he's like, Daryl says to G, like,
I told you to say something disgusting.
Well, I hate plums. And you, plums with brains. Brains with plums. It's just like, oh, you guys are not right in the head. And then the giant ghost spider shows up, and the lady...
Because of course it does.
Yeah, because Queen Jar is visiting. And the scorpion lady just goes, nope, and like runs away.
We're not joking here. Her exact words are like, no, and she goes away.
Runs off screen. And it was like, oh, so you have a reaction to that random minor character. Like, what do you know, right?
It's always nice when we see minor characters are more than just, here, set piece number 15.
Right, like, because the general tone of ghost spiders approaching is either battle itself or a sense of kind of reverence of like, oh, here comes the queen, and like soldiers kind of stand there. Here she comes, the emissary to talk to our lord. And somebody in the crowd is like, no, ghost spider, what the heck?
Nope, ghost spiders, we're not doing this. Fuck this. I signed on to sharpen scorpion tails. Did not do this. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, that's great.
But then it turns out that G the whole time was supposed to be their food. The food for the Spider Queen.
Like a gift for her, yeah. Also, she's pissed off they only got a sprig and not the whole tree. And Marmu's like, well, dang it, work with this anyway. So then they end up setting the whole camp on fire.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of that was intentional or how much it is Lord Marmu just has really shitty firefighting abilities.
Yeah.
Which you'd think would be more important in the deserts.
On the other hand, how much wood is there in the desert, usually?
Well, most of the stuff we see is made out of wood.
I know, that's their problem.
Or cloth. You know, you'd think that they would have, in an area with no moisture, they'd be really careful about firefighting. And
So, there's a fire going on, and they do get the thing unlocked, finally. They finally steal a key from the guy. And then they sneak over to the Komodo dragons, and have to scare them out with fire. Another little detail there. You could have just been like, oh, let's just hop on the back of this thing, and here we go. But instead it's, oh crap, they're afraid of fire. We put the fire towards the backside. That'll make them run this way. And then he carries a torch with him, and he's on the back of this thing. And then when he wants it to turn right, he shines the fire in its left eye, so it turns. And you're like, oh,
and you think,
clever.
oh, okay, they're gonna ride out into the desert. But no, Lord Marmu gets in front of them, smashes down a rock pillar to show how badass he is. It falls down, and it stops them in their tracks. And now he has a thing against Daryl, realizing, oh, you just fucked up, son.
And so he's going alone against Daryl because G is carried away by the horde of Komodo dragons. And so he's like, got Daryl on the ropes, and he's like, I will, kill you or whatever.
I will kill you slowly.
Yeah.
And then suddenly
the Komodo dragons just run into him from off screen.
And it's amazing because it's just, it's an anticlimax, but at the same time you realize, this shows that G is not the helpless load.
Yeah.
He can think on his feet too.
Right, and also this is a chaotic situation, so unexpected things can happen. What do you know, right?
Yeah, and we're completely missing a scene where Daryl fights Pigo. Yeah, it's Pigo. I think Pigu is something else.
Okay.
Like, I think it's inappropriate, but, I'm not really looking into...
Okay, anyway.
Pigo, he fights him in a dump, but he uses the fact that this is like a Star Wars trash compactor shout-out scene, and tricks Pigo into fighting this giant centipede. Which is actually a cool fight.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I didn't expect giant centipede versus humanoid scorpion to be a thing I would see today. But, it's a good fight. Both are shown to be evenly matched, although Pigo wins.
Yeah. So...
And then it shows that Daryl, who joined the mercenaries under the name Snorbot.
Yes.
Because it's one of those
line of sight names, yeah.
Line of sight name things. But the mercenaries are just like, oh, okay, you were the bad guy all along? Oh, well. You know, you sure you don't want to join us? You're pretty good. Yeah. Oh, okay, well, I'll see you guys later. No, they did let him leave and establish, yeah, we don't do this except for money.
Yeah.
Which it turns into a plot point later.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And then, seeing all the chaos they've wrecked on the enemy camp, Daryl and G do something I didn't expect they would do. They say, yeah, we can't stop these. The amphibiolans are doomed if they march on this. We're going to get backup.
Yeah.
They do the smart thing. They go, okay, we're going to find the Turtle King, because the Turtle King is supposed to be training all the new Kulipari since the last guys died.
Yeah, the most of them died in the war, and these are the new guys, yeah.
Yeah. And so they do. They go into these swamps.
And they have to fight with eels, and they meet these paralysis ticks. The eels are trying to eat them, and then the Kulipari show up all of a sudden, and they're like really cool and badass, and good for them. Mm-hmm. Introduce themselves, and I've got their list of names here. Bernu's the leader, arrogant guy with hair for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why. He's a frog, but he has hair.
Ponto is the big guy, but actually mainly known for being the healer. That's interesting.
Dingo is
the archer.
The archer, who is also the team jokester.
And Quoba is a scout who can turn invisible and teleport. It's actually... It's this weird form of teleport where she doesn't immediately appear in her target location.
But sometimes she does.
But sometimes it's like disappear and then gone for a while and then somewhere else. And you're like, oh, is that like an intentional delay? I never thought of that. That's interesting.
Or is it like spirit walking where you go into another realm and then walk to where you need to be?
I don't know.
Huh.
That's so cool.
And they meet the Turtle King and he's like, Daryl's like, finally, we need the army of Kulipari. How many do you have? Well, you've met them all. Well, no. Where are the other ones? I've met those 4. Those 4 are the only Kulipari.
Yep.
Aw, balls.
So Daryl wants to help out with the war, and the Kulipari are like, nah, I'm not trained for this. And they all get on sailfish and sail away. Giant sailfish. We just have those.
Yeah. I mean, it's magic.
Yeah, it is magic. Yeah, I know. And then Daryl calls up an even bigger sailfish when he gets the conch shell.
Oh my god, you know what he did?
What?
Summon bigger fish.
Summon bigger fish.
Literally summoned bigger fish.
Literally, yeah, that's true. Shout out to Darths and Droids. If you know the web
I can summon bigger fish. Okay, so... And then he manages to get there ahead of the Kulipari, and they start to accept him because he's...
Summoned a bigger fish.
And he's, got the approval of the Turtle King. And the Turtle King's...
Oh, by the way, Turtle King gave him a pearl as part of a lesson about a single person can make a big difference. And also, here's a priceless pearl. Keep that with you.
Yeah, it's actually... It's better the way it's presented.
Yeah, it is.
He presents it as, this is a grain of sand.
Yeah.
And if you know how pearls are created...
That is how it starts.
Yeah. I don't know where Daryl keeps it on his person the whole time.
Hammer space.
But they go back just in time for. Turns out that Jara.
What? Jara.
Yeah. Jara. It turns out that thing where they only got a sprig of that magical tree, that was important.
Yeah, I like these consequences happening all the time.
Yeah, Jara basically starts to go off on Marmu saying, hey, idiot. No, Marmu starts screaming at Jara saying, you need to get the veil down right now. Jara goes, yeah, well, I could. You only got me a frickin' sprig of the tree. If I'd had the whole tree, I could take down the whole veil. But I don't, so I can't.
So she has to work really hard at it. She sacrifices her assistants, because it turns out you can, take somebody's life energy and power up the spell. And then she starts killing random scorpions, and Marmu's like, stop killing my men. She's like, you want the veil down or not? And then finally she gets just this one section of it down. And then, collapses from exhaustion.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
At the same time, it shows that there's consequences for actions. shows that the bad guys aren't omnipotently powerful.
Yeah. And by the way, the good guys in the amphibians have been busy building a wall and some catapults and stuff to protect themselves, so...
Though given the fact that some of them still forget which end of the spear is pointy, I'm not kidding, that was a scene.
Yeah.
Oh, and it turns out that Arbanu...
Oh,
Arabanu? Him and Korra have a thing for each other.
Yeah. I like that Arabanu was introduced as the bully, and then he turned out to be much more sympathetic than you realize, and he's okay with Korra now, and he kind of respects Daryl, and I wasn't expecting the bully character to go that way.
I wasn't expecting him to develop. Usually the bully character only develops in like the last episode where he goes, "Look, I might be tough, but you're all right."
Yeah, I'm suddenly flashing to Dudley a little bit, you know.
Yeah, Dudley.
Only in book 7 was he suddenly like, "Hey, Kana, thank you." Anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. Moving along. And there's a big, fierce battle. And everything fighting.
Everyone shows up. Kulipari show up. Daryl's helping out. The Turtle King shows up on his crocodile, which is awesome.
Which we forgot to mention, but the Turtle King has a crocodile.
Yeah, giant crocodile.
Marmu leaves.
Oh, and the Turtle King has a assistant too.
We mentioned that.
Whatever his name was. Yeah.
I can't remember what his name is. We should probably. Yabber. Anyways, Daryl shows up and he starts proving his worth in that he starts pointing out tactical ways that they can start winning, not like showing up and kicking all of the ass. He goes, okay, the Scorpions have armor. People who have arrows aim for the lizard mercenaries. They don't have as much armor.
Yeah.
Okay, guys who are throwing boulders, aim for the crevice. They can only get in that way. Unfortunately, Queen Jara, I keep forgetting her name, says, okay, look, if you want anything done, I need you to get to the front lines, to Marmu. So Marmu goes to the front lines and starts kicking all the frog ass. And then finally, Jara comes to the front lines and confronts the Turtle King. And it lasts a grand total of about 10 seconds before Marmu assassinates him from behind with his tail spike.
Yeah! And then also Marmu himself gets stabbed by Daryl. Do I have that correctly?
Yeah. But it looks like they're about to win. But it turns out that in the middle of the fight, Daryl used his good relations with the mercenary captain and the giant priceless pearl to bribe him to switch sides in the middle of the fight, which allows Daryl to stab Marmu in the chest.
I was wondering when they introduced this dagger, his dad's dagger, as being an important thing. I'm like, this is a kid's show. Is he ever actually going to stab a living creature with that? And then he did. And they're like, all right, it's a real knife. It's a real working knife. What do you know?
Also, old Jeer got stabbed with the scorpion thing earlier.
Yeah.
Which does complete a plot point that they mentioned early on in the series, that the flowers from that big important magic spirity tree were good for curing scorpion venom.
Yeah.
So that helped.
So, well, actually, he and the Turtle King wind up both
mortally
wounded, and the Turtle King sacrifices his life, giving enough magic over to old Jeer to save Jeer's life.
Which is kind of what we mean, that somehow death is less important in this universe.
See, when I first saw people getting stabbed with scorpion's tails, I thought that was a killing blow. It seemed to be treated that way dramatically. And then, oh wait, they're still alive for a little bit, and then, oh wait, one of them is alive permanently. And then I really thought Marmu was dead, and we were like, oh man, Keith David's character is gone. And then guess who comes back later?
Yeah, like the very next episode.
Which
is that's all. This has been up to episode 9, and we're not mentioning all of the plot points just for simplicity's sake.
Yeah.
This is a good story, and it's complex, which is what we like.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now we get into the second half of the series, which is supposed to be the
second and third books.
Yeah, which is kind of bad. I mean,
I wouldn't say it was bad.
I mean, no. I'm not saying that.
Oh, that one fact of it was bad. Yeah, but still maintained interest.
2 books were compressed down into 4 episodes when the first book was spread out over 9.
Yeah.
You could make 2 whole seasons out of this.
They should have. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, Avatar this bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is a big world with lots of world building, and I like it.
Yeah, give it space to grow.
It just needs a little more space. But, like, after the battle's over and people
Well, after the battle's over, you think, is that the end of the series? Because that looked pretty impressively finished. The veil is back up. Yabber teleports away the remaining scorpions and repairs the veil. And Marmu, we thought, was dead. And now Daryl's respected by his people, or previously they didn't respect him very much. And then the next thing we cut to, the next episode, without any, like, text on the screen to be, like, several months later or something, suddenly it's snowing, and the Kulipari and some Komodos and Daryl are all in the snow somewhere doing
on
a thing.
On
a mountain. And you're like, what, when is this? How is this happening?
And they're looking for Yabber, but it turns out that Yabber went onto this mountain deliberately in order to get a vision quest from the Rainbow Serpent, which is their god.
Yeah, basically. I forget exactly if Yabber, why he went ahead of them. I guess he was trying to get a vision, but the thing is, the vision that has been had in that location is already painted on the walls.
Yeah, so...
Did they want another vision?
So, I'm not 100% certain what happened. Did Yabber just say, well, fuck it, I'm going to leave and not tell anyone? And then the Kulipari went to go look for him, taking all of the experienced warriors out of the village, except for old Jir?
Well, they weren't just looking for him. They said something about, we'll find the key to, like, protecting the amphibians forever or something.
Yeah, but they should have left, like, some of the Kulipari back in the village.
You'd think so. Yeah, that, honestly, it got too compressed.
Yeah, they should have had some stay back in the village, not just because, well, that would be the smart thing to do, because if they openly state, she pierced the veil once, Jara can pierce it again.
Yeah.
But instead, that would have been an interesting parallel, because, well, the Kulipari were mocked back in the Frog Village, back in the Amphibilands, because they hadn't been seen in forever, and the only example of them was old Jir, who was a hermit.
No, wait. I remember the chieftain lady, though, saying specifically that the Kulipari should be treated with respect, and everyone seemed to take her word for it.
Yeah, but then there was the old
there was
guy.
One guy. I don't think it was, like, in general people mocked them. Obviously, Daryl looked up to them, and people mocked Daryl, but they didn't mock the Kulipari, generally.
Yeah, but imagine, like, them dealing with hero worship now. I mean, they lived with the turtles, which probably wouldn't hero worship the Kulipari. Yeah. But they were living with the amphibians, who are like, oh my god, you saved us. Imagine them dealing with hero worship. Imagine them dealing with, imagine seeing his mom, like, vaguely disgusted that she's getting all this new business because her son, like, brought back the Kulipari. Because they all mocked her son before.
Yeah, there's a lot of angles you could explore there.
Like, and imagine, like, the arrogant dude standing back in the village and being really kind of upset that they were mocking the son of the Kulipari, Apari. No, his name is Apari. He's Daryl's father. Yeah. Like, Apari was, like, this big warrior that they all looked up to, and they, like, mocked his legacy, who wanted to be just like them. And even though, Bernu, like, mocked Daryl at the beginning, he saw this guy was an effective leader, eventually. Yeah. And he was just upset that the legacy of the Kulipari was just not being treated well, because this guy who wanted to keep the tradition alive, even if he couldn't.
Right, well, the other way to go with the guy who's known for arrogance, and if you're doing a hero worship theme, is he lets that go to his head. And, stops training as hard as he would, or guarding some particular thing that needs guarding, because everything's fine, I'm the hero, right? And the arrogance gets to him too much.
Oh, yeah, and then you could have Arbanu, like, kick his ass, because he's been training, like, this whole time with Daryl, and was able to hold his own against Daryl and go, dude, get your head out of your ass and go home. It would show character development for Arabanu, and it would show development for Bernu, who looked down on the non-Kulipari earlier.
Yeah, no, there's several ways to play that.
But instead we have them all on the mountain. Which, I'm not saying that this is a bad set of scenes.
It wasn't bad. It just it could have had more done with more time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're on the mountain and they find Yabber. And then it cuts over to the Spider Queen's place, and it looks completely different from what we'd seen it look like before.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Well, before it was like this castle thing in the middle of nowhere, and then it
like
was
this spire.
this diamond thing in between these two peaks.
Okay.
Maybe this is her summer home and
Yeah,
workshop.
it could be.
Or a different Spider City, maybe.
Anyway, she's got a new assistant now.
One who gets lines and stuff.
Yeah, Lady Falga.
Anyways.
And there's somebody in a cocoon of web, and he's like, he will emerge from the cocoon soon. And it's Marmoo, and you're like, wait, I thought he was dead. Oh, I guess he brought him back now, because magic and stuff.
Except now
he's bigger.
He's bigger, but at the same time, he doesn't have his armor. So he's like an actual scorpion who's just molted its shell, and is really, really weak, and he's pissed off because of that. And she says, oh, if you serve me, I will give you your armor back. And she doesn't plan to give him his armor back.
Yeah, not at any time soon. Yeah, you could see how this was not going to work out well between the two of them. So what happens? Oh, she uses spells to like collapse the mountain where our team is currently looking at cave drawings and trying to figure out what the Rainbow Serpent was trying to tell them.
And it turns out that Arabano was the one. Wait.
No, what? Arabano's not involved in the cave drawings.
No, sorry. Apari,
yeah.
Daryl's dad was the one who made these cave paintings because he had a connection with the Rainbow Serpent, which would have been nice if that had been explored before.
Yeah, also if he had time enough to draw those cave paintings, you think he could make a copy on some paper and bring it home, and everyone could just see it instead of putting it in a mountain
and making it really cryptic and not just going okay.
Write it out in English or whatever language you guys speak.
I don't know, frog speak, whatever.
Yeah. Alright, so the key is to do this thing, coordinates here, go. I mean, as boring as that would be.
Yeah, seriously, what is it with mystical cultures? Part of the reason why we have cultures write down prophecy couched in mysterious language is that people in the past don't understand the significance of it, but...
In this case, you should have been able to understand the significance,
I mean, it wasn't like some mysterious event in the future. A really bad example of this is in Deep Space Nine, where Cisco predicts that a plague of locusts will descend on Bajor, which predicts that the Dominion will come and invade. But let's be honest here, at that point, the Dominion are a known thing. He can say, the Dominion will invade. You don't need the religious allegory thing.
Did he just not know what that metaphor meant? He just saw locusts in his vision?
But why would you see locusts in their vision? Because based on how the prophets work, they live outside of time. They can see visions of the future. They don't need to say, oh, locusts will descend on Bajor. They can say, here's the thing that's going to happen in the future.
I would just love if an actual plague of locusts happened and they had to, like, protect the crops, and that was it.
Yeah, okay. But it's the same thing here. Apari knows about scorpions. He knows about all of these threats. It's not like there's some weird thing from beyond space that's...
I mean, it's possible we don't know the rest of the meaning of the prophecy yet, but what ends up happening is a thing with the rock that you could have just written down in English or whatever.
Yeah. And it's also here that we start getting... well, okay, I'll get to that in a little bit.
So they collapse this cave, and we have to fight these bats that have been pressed into service.
And they're attacking a village of platypuses. And immediately this show goes from an 8.5 to a 10.
Because platypus. No, isn't there the other thing on the other mountaintop we should get to first? Did that happen? Platypuses came in.
Well, the platypuses were being attacked like at the beginning of this whole arc.
Oh, well, that's maybe... yeah, that's true. Okay, because, she ran off to go guide to help, and then...
Wait, no, we didn't... Okay.
She shows
up. Jara gets some bats to attack the platypus village because they have a spirit seer or a skywatcher or something like that. Stargazer, and I keep thinking Stargate when I hear that.
Yeah.
Which is capable of communing with the rainbow spirit, similar to how the Turtle King was. And apparently Jara's new foe is God.
Yeah, that's ambition.
Yeah, so wants to stop the God from helping the frogs.
Mm-hmm.
So
you gotta mess with this Stargazer. Yeah, so that bats attack the platypus village. It was actually just the spells that attacked the mountainside. That's right. Those green thingamajigs.
And that led Pippi?
Yeah.
Pippi, the
Pippi Longstocking? No, not really.
I thought that as soon as I heard her name. Pippi the platypus. I have diabetes from saying that. Pippi the Platypus to run for help from the Sky King.
The Blue Sky King.
Blue Sky King.
Who is apparently Daryl. Or not,
yeah.
Is prophesized to be Daryl.
Who's prophesized to be Daryl, and then... Which actually makes sense since Daryl does mean blue sky.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which also makes me think that Sarai Days should be playing since the literal meaning of that is Blue Sky Days.
Yep, that's right.
Which is kind of a bummer for me because since it's the theme song to Gurren Lagann, I always mentally translate it as Days of Endless Sky.
That's a lovely translation, though. Yeah.
I know. I mean, and it would make sense for both of the series. It makes sense for Gurren Lagann because, you know, the whole thing of overcoming limits and going beyond the impossible.
Yeah.
Going off to the endless sky, you know? Yeah. Anyway,
so she shows up at the Amphibians.
No, she doesn't.
No, that's right. She shows up,
like in the desert just outside the Amphibians where Korra, Arabanu, and G are testing out these new grenade things filled with acid that can melt through scorpion armor.
So she finds them there and says to G, "Hey, you were the Daryl, the Sky King." "Oh no, I'm not. I'm his friend." And he gets labeled as the sidekick,
which he kind of is.
But that's okay. Yeah.
And in a weird animation error, they tell Arabanu.
Oh yeah.
They tell Arabanu, "Go back to the village," and he goes and leaves. And then he's back there.
And the next shot, he's standing next to G. And you're like, come on,
admittedly, it could have been a slightly different frog, and we just weren't paying attention close enough.
No, but... I don't think there's a second Arabanu. I think it was an animation glitch.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Or a story glitch. Whatever. So no one goes back to the village and warns that this other village is under attack. Oops.
I'm not sure how that worked. Anyway, yeah, so they try to help out, but eventually they're like, all right, we need the Kulipari to help us out here. Then all stuff in the mountains happens. Okay. And the second bit on the mountain is where he sees a rainbow pointing to this other mountain peak. And they're, all right, we'll just climb up there. And by the way, cold weakens frogs, so we're all kind of vulnerable.
Again, it makes sense. Frogs are cold-blooded creatures. Same with turtles.
Yeah. And
spiders. In fact, everyone's going, oh yeah, so the cold weakens the frogs. It's like... Every one of you fuckers would be weakened up on that mountain. You're all cold-blooded creatures.
Yeah, I guess. So. I never thought of spiders as cold-blooded. I'm not sure how spider blood works to begin with.
You know what? I don't care, but all I know is that they don't have warm blood.
Okay. Point is, he gets to the top of the mountain, and Bernu has been secretly injured for a while yet, and he's hiding it because he's a tough guy. And he finds a small vale up there where you can go and talk to the Rainbow Serpent. Like, in person. Like, oh, wow, cool. But then spiders show up and start fighting with the other Kulipari while Daryl and Yabra are in there.
Hey, wait a second. Why does the Rainbow Serpent have a veil on top of a mountain? I mean, all of her she's a spirit of water.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's get a place where it's really hard for water to get.
Yeah.
2, all the water is frozen, which I don't...
It's not as helpful for supporting life in that environment, yeah.
Well, that, and, I'm not sure how a spirit of water interacts with ice, because different mythologies and different magic systems tend to classify ice and water as two separate things, so I'm not 100% sure how that works. And 3, why not have this veil inside of the other veil, or, next to the Turtle King... their followers.
Yeah.
Or how about in the Platypus Village? How about in the Platypus Village and not somewhere 50 fucking miles from anywhere in the one place no one can go?
Yeah, I hope they explain that someday. But with the compression rate, I doubt they will.
I bet they explain this better in the books, but they do rush things a lot here. Which...
Yeah, and it was Daryl's left with this choice. He can either stand around and listen to the
Rainbow
Serpent's like prophecies / guidance, or he can leave the small veil and go help his friends that are in trouble. And he ends up choosing to help his friends, which we're told is like a big momentous decision. But it wasn't clear why he can't just run back into the veil once he's done with all that. Except, as it turns out, they ends up washing them all down the side of the mountain when Yabber makes the snow melt to get rid of the spiders.
Oh, and Queen Jara is there, too.
Yeah, Queen Jara's there in person.
Which is actually in person, and she makes fun of the whole thing. Oh, hi, I wanted to play soldiers, so I brought these soldiers. Get him or something.
Yeah, I love how she says that to her troops.
She's just so freaking bored, and it's good she has no experience leading soldiers.
Yeah, character difference between her and Marmu. You know, it's good to distinguish your characters.
Yeah, so eventually Yabur melts all the water on the mountain and then freezes it again, which freezes Jara.
Which nearly kills her. She loses most of her hair.
Yeah, and then, so what's the...
Falga.
Falga?
Fahlga.
Falga says, "Oh, I can only save one of them." Marmu says, "I save the queen. I need her to harden my shell."
So she teleports the queen back, which, you know, they haven't exactly established how all the rules of magic work, and yet somehow it doesn't feel cheap when stuff happens. It's not, you know, like, at least the queen still had to suffer and lose hair, and it was in a different mood because of what had just happened to her. So because of story consequences, like, okay, apparently they have a teleport spell I haven't heard of much before. I mean, I guess Yabur teleported the scorpions that other time.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
So
she teleports her back, and Jara is so freaked out about her near-death experience. She's like, yeah, fine, you want Marmu to have your powers, have your hardened armor, and go kill those guys. And he's like...
She overdoes it, like, severely. So before he was just the brute. You could compare him to the Arbiter in terms of size and strength. Now he's like 4 Arbiters put together.
He's like the Hulk.
He's like the Hulk mixed with Darth Vader.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, which is cool, but at the end we get to hear more of Keith David's sexy voice. Unfortunately, at this point, Marmu is officially done with this shit.
Yeah.
He kills Jara and says, "Okay, fuck all y'all. I'm in charge now." And then he starts wrecking the Spider Queen's palace, except that now he's in a different Spider Queen palace.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because before it was, like, in that diamond thing in between those two peaks. And now it's back to the spire we saw at the beginning of the series.
I gotta go check these things. Yeah.
Okay. And then we start seeing the difference between Lady Falga and Queen Jara and Marmu. Because... Lady Falga starts immediately. Her first reaction is get everyone out, help the wounded to escape. When the tower collapses, search the rubble for the wounded. Yeah. Start caring for them.
Yeah. Wow. Nice.
It's important to see that, you know, there's, you know, characters who still have good aspects to them, even on the evil side.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that they're not evil, it's just that they still have their own priorities.
Yeah, and she's just different from her predecessor, you know, differences, those are important.
Oh, yeah. So, wait, we missed a scene in between there, which is actually a pretty important scene. After he kills Jara, Marmu goes alone because he's so drunk on power now that he's completely forgotten any positive aspects to his character.
Yeah.
Goes to kill Daryl, who he blames for the failure of his first invasion, and for, you know, stabbing him.
Yeah.
And decides to destroy the Platypus Village. Which, you know, he does, and considering he's the Hulk mixed with, you know, a tank.
Yeah. The Hank.
Tom Hanks destroys the village. Oh, and apparently he now has regenerative powers, too. Because fuck you, that's why.
Yeah. So no one can hurt him until the chieftain comes up, because the chieftain is there, because apparently we did warn the village and we sent them a bunch of people to
the Frog Chieftain, not the Platypus Chieftain.
Yeah. Sent them to the Platypus Village.
And it turns out that Korra did perfect those acid bombs, and Pigo has, like, damage to his shoulder armor now.
Yeah, once they throw one at him, yeah.
Yeah, but it turns out that Marmu is now so strong that his armor can basically shrug it off.
Yeah.
So the village elder, who we did get some kind of interesting character bits for earlier, namely that she's a reasonable authority figure, and she never wanted to be chieftain, she wanted to be a baker and make clam muffins.
And stuff happened.
Yeah. Well, she decides to sacrifice herself by jumping on top of Marmu, shoving a acid bomb in his mouth, and that splatters over his face, blinding half his eyes.
Yeah.
It doesn't kill him, or maybe it does and he regenerates from that?
Does it mess with his digestive system? He swallowed acid. That'd be interesting if he had that weakness forevermore.
Marmu kills her and, well, mortally wounds her, and then they're able to bury him under some rubble.
Yes.
And
then he's okay.
But before that, the Stargazer says, "Oh, don't worry, child. I will be fine. Don't worry about me.
He has his path, and I have mine. And we're like,
good to know that the fate is completely immutable, and that nothing we do actually matters because we're just playing out our parts in a great cosmic game.
Well, she seemed to imply that only a couple people have things decided, and the rest of them are free. Because she said, like, he wants to change his fate, but his path is decided. I kind of interpreted that to mean other people's paths are not, so this one guy wouldn't benefit from this.
Yeah, but maybe she dies? I'm not sure what happens.
Yeah, that's weird, because we expected her to die, and then she, like, shows up later with the Rainbow Serpent's teleporting thing, and I'm like, are you just hanging out with the Rainbow Serpent and teleporting
But then, like, she vanishes again like a ghost? I'm not 100% sure what happens here.
Yeah.
But, anyways, the platypuses come back to the Amphibilands, and the Amphibilands are like, well, shit, now what do we do? Because Daryl announced, we have to get rid of the veil.
Oh, yeah. Daryl has a vision on that front.
Yeah, which is explained in the books.
Okay.
It's explained in the books, which is why compressing the last 2 books in the series down to 4 episodes total was a mistake on my...
definitely a mistake, yeah.
Because the only evidence we get of this is the Rainbow Serpent saying, water is life.
Yeah.
Which is to imply, in the books it explains, that the veil that protects the Amphibilands is also cutting off water to other parts of the world. Which is a problem because it means that other people are dying. They need to cut down the veil.
Yeah, so for the longer term victory of life, they need to put themselves in danger. And instead at least there are people questioning this, and Daryl's like, look, the serpent told me. And they're like, seriously? And then Platypus Stargazer shows up and says, yes, seriously. And they're like, I mean, okay, fine.
and then reality ensues here.
I know. They turn down the veil. The scorpions invade. Marmu says, like, twice over, like, the frogs can't be that stupid.
But it turns out that they are.
Scorpions
because
invade.
their whole plan is as follows. Step 1, tear down the veil. Step 2, trust in the Rainbow Serpent. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
That is their plan.
Yeah.
That is a shit plan. Even Roman Catholics, even the most devout Roman Catholics will say, God helps those who help themselves.
Yeah, they should have developed that a little more.
The only thing missing from this plan is underpants.
Yes.
Ugh.
Okay, so the Scorpions invade and actually succeed in invading, even though they attempt to drop a nuke on Marmu, which is to say that that one Kulipari,
the big guy,
the Ponto, drops on him from a big distance and somehow like activates nuke mode and explodes the guy area without exploding himself.
Oh yeah, and also for some reason hawks come and take them in because Lord of the Rings references. In reality, this was also explained in the books, but not here because of compression.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the Hawks' aid was for nothing because everyone surrenders in the end. Because they can't beat Marmu.
I mean, the Hawks got them to the location at least, which means Daryl can now be the leader of the, what do you call it, diaspora?
Yeah, diaspora.
Is it still called a diaspora when they're all together? I mean, that's come from the words disperse, right? And this is like a refugee group.
Trail of Tears?
Yeah, that's more specific, though. Exiled group of people. The Exiles. I'm just calling them the Exiles.
Exodus.
Well, Exodus is the verb of it. Oh, no, is the noun of the verb. Whatever.
So Marmu is like, okay, now these will be the Arachnalands where scorpions will rule. I'm like, you have spiders right there. The spiders are right there. You think they're going to object or something?
Well, he is Marmu, and he is off the rails at this point, so it fits his character.
So he goes and he exiles all the frogs because apparently now it's significant that the desert is bad to creatures that survive primarily in water.
Yeah, they could have built up to that earlier.
Yeah, but...
Especially because sandpiper frogs have been seen to exist in the desert, and, I mean, they were not happy, so I guess that was the only...
They were also kind of brain damaged, so let's move on from them. Yeah. The entire Exodus scene could be summed up by the following phrase. Wah, wah. Okay, so they say, okay, let's go to the platypus village. That has water. So they go there, and it's like a long trek, and people nearly die, and it's Not worth it because the platypus village is out of water because Marmu has been damming up the rivers in the amphibian lands.
Yeah. So okay, cool. We'll go to the possum village that apparently
and in between there, Pigo was forced out of the scorpions.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing for him.
With like a group of other scorpions, because Marmu has gone completely nuts. He is a social Darwinist. He always was, but now he's taken it to the extreme, saying anyone who's wounded will be eaten by the other scorpions.
Or you can leave. So they chose to leave.
Oh, no, the interesting part is Pigo says most of us left.
Yeah!
Meaning some chose to get eaten alive.
Oh, that's a weird cultural idea, yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, it was kind of foreshadowed in like the first few episodes when it's revealed that young scorpions will eat their siblings if they're too weak.
Yeah.
So it kind of fits in with their racial thing.
Yeah, they just, took it to an extreme.
And Pigo's like, scorpions cannot exist without a lord. So he kneels down and pledges his loyalty and fealty of him and all of his men to Daryl. The Blue Sky King.
And you're like, wow. When we was first introduced to the Pigo thing, and the Pigo Marmu thing, we were thinking maybe Pigo would be the Starscream and would overthrow Marmu and, use better tactics and stuff than his former boss.
And then Marmu might become like an anti-hero.
I wasn't actually expecting him to go anti-hero because he was just too definitely evil for that. But I wasn't expecting Pigo to be...
We thought the same thing about the Arbiter, so...
Well, the Arbiter was never trying to conquer the world in the same way Marmu does. You know what I mean? He was more like, what would you have your Arbiter do? And he was doing something for the sake of honor, and it wasn't like, I will kill you all because I feel like it.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that line of his? I will continue my campaign against the humans.
That's true.
Also, they backfilled a bunch of his backstory later on to explain his character more, but he was one of the more effective commanders in the Human Covenant War.
Yeah, that's true.
Mind you, he still had a very big honorable streak. Like, they did explain that at one point he burst into a locker room full of UNSC soldiers, and he allowed them to get their armor and guns.
Yeah.
And then he killed them all anyways once they had their armor and guns. Yeah. But still...
Sort of like the Predator there.
Well, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Which fits because he has a cloaking device. But that's not important at the moment.
No, it's not. Point is, so it turns out Pigo joins the good guys.
Which leads to possibly one of the funniest scenes in the entire show.
They're thinking of going to the Possum Village, and the only, the shortcut to get there is through the Ghost Spires. It's a place with a lot of fog, and you can easily get lost and maybe die.
So they're like, okay, we have to follow Pigo through the Ghost Spires. Pigo immediately goes, no, you can't follow Pigo, he's a scorpion! Everyone stares at him. What? Someone had to say it.
Yeah.
Which I said, they should have done the whole conversation with just him talking to himself. No, you can't follow Pigo, he's a scorpion! Yes, but I am Pigo, and I must not... Yes, but I'm your only hope, amphibians and other creatures.
We'd rather go it on our own than trust you.
It's like, my imagination of this was just Pigo doing both sides until he starts punching himself before delivering a final blow and going, now you see, I am strongest, this creatures. And then he pretends to hand over a knife before he takes it for himself. But you see, I am honorable. I would not kill you. I am on your side. Very well, Pigo. Just this whole thing would take 5 minutes, and him doing the whole.
It's like turns out Pigo always wanted to be an actor, and he just takes this opportunity.
I would love it, but still, that is the funniest scene in the entire show. Yeah. Just because it does what you all know has to happen, but from the character you don't expect it to happen from.
Yeah.
And so they're making their way through the Ghost Spires, and they discover a village of friendly spiders that are not humanoid.
Yeah, and they don't speak, but they're intelligent enough to make underground rivers and canals type of thing.
Yeah, which I was confused as to why they didn't just go follow those underground tunnels, because those would probably be cooler and less likely to suffer from desert heat.
Maybe they only went through a limited range, and
But they go straight to the place... They later say that those underground tunnels go straight to the places they need to go to.
Maybe most of that distance was filled up with actual water, and not just
Oh
convenient.
no, we'd go to a place with water.
No,
which we need.
I'm saying if you were like underground and the thing is 100% filled with water and you can't swim through it.
Yeah, but they established that they're not.
Well, the one we saw. I guess you could make the tunnels bigger and give yourself some breathing space.
Well, I mean, all of the... Okay, I guess by that point they have the scorpions with them. But at the same time, they openly state none of these are filled with water because all of it is dammed up in the amphibians.
Except it isn't because of that rock. That's actually kind of confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, so they march all this way, and they get to a big old rock.
It's Ayers Rock.
Ayers Rock, it's called, and it's weirdly on its side. It looks like a crashed UFO.
Yeah,
and it's propped up by this other rock. And it turns out the way to solve everything is to put his dad's dagger in this one crack, and then that does the magic thing, and that gets rid of the smaller rock that's propping up the big rock. So the big rock falls down, and water happens.
And that makes water come out of the ground here, and it drains the amphibians, and Marmu drowns.
I really think we needed more explanation of that, and I don't believe that Marmu is dead. He's Marmu. He presumably comes back again.
Yeah,
and vows revenge.
Actually, he does drown. Because, like, the sequel comic shows that he's resurrected again by another guy.
Oh, really?
Because that worked out well. Oh, and then Marmu kills that guy, too.
Oh, for frick's sake.
Why do people keep bringing this guy back?
Stop bringing this guy back.
I mean, he's awesome, but at the same time, stop it. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
And apparently that solves all problems.
I mean, it was pretty cool in the moment. Then you gotta think about it, and you're like, yeah, it's too compressed. But also, incidentally, Quoba, the scout, loses her poison ability permanently because she, like, overtaxes it to save Daryl. Which is neat and all, because it's going to have, like, story implications.
Except that this is the last episode of the season, and from what we see of the promotional materials for the second season, it's going to have, like, a big time skip in between the two, and it's going to star the, those brothers and sisters.
Oh, really? That's a big time skip.
Yeah.
Dang, I would have liked to see Quoba having to deal with being depowered, being permanently depowered, you know?
Maybe that is covered in the integral comic, but again, I first heard of this series last night. I haven't left this apartment since.
Yes. So thanks to Wikipedia and TV Tropes for informing you of everything else you've heard. But yeah, okay, I would like to see you struggle with that.
Oh, wait, no, and even that doesn't work because the TV Tropes openly said the integral comic stars Burnu.
Yeah.
And all the other characters pretty much don't have a role in this. It's like him going to search for some other thing.
So, yeah, I don't get around to exploring that. And also, what was the deal with this rock being propped up in the first place? Did someone find a need to do that? And how did they do that?
Why did they do that?
And why does this one dagger fix it? And why did they not build the system so that you could maybe put the dagger in, run away, wait an hour, and then it collapses the thing? Instead of apparently it is designed to kill the guy who turns it on, I guess.
Maybe that's why his dad didn't turn it on.
Yeah, you guys, this is a really poorly designed system. Yeah, I ain't doing this.
And how did Apari make all those cave paintings, know exactly what to do, have the weapon designed specifically to go into this crack and to deactivate the thing?
Yeah.
And then not tell anyone?
You know what? There has to be... Well, first off, yeah, why did he tell anyone? Secondly, why didn't he go and turn it on and just make a paradise over there for anybody who happens to want that? Because it's not like anybody preferred the desert. In which case, I would have to say he had, I would have to change it so that the opportunity had only arisen recently. Like, I don't know, the planets have to be in alignment or something that picks something that it couldn't work back in the day, but now we can do it now.
And why didn't the rainbow, it's a good thing for this paradise to be established and for everyone to have water, how come the Rainbow Serpent didn't show herself to the Turtle King or to the Stargazer earlier and say, hey, no, don't do this. You need to go do this other thing. In fact, since the Rainbow Serpent's power is in the veil, why didn't she remove the veil herself and then appear to the Turtle King and the Stargazer and go, you need to go guide these people to the Promised Land?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. We need to establish first off that the Rainbow Serpent is limited in how often she can talk to people, and the amount of stuff she can do, and then make it so that at the time of the Veil's creation, this paradise thingy hadn't been set up yet. Like, that was a long-term plan. So here was the Veil to keep you guys alive long enough so we can work the magic over in this other location until it's eventually charged up, and then you guys can turn it on. And when the time comes to turn it on, okay, please turn off the Veil so you can go turn this thing on and invoke the long-term plan. Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
We need more of that. All
right. Okay, so strengths of the series. 1, pretty solid world building.
Yeah, pretty solid characters.
Yeah.
Memorable.
Even the minor characters.
That's a mark of a good writer. Even the one who has like 5 lines still stands out.
And allows you to see that they're not all races of mooks.
Yeah.
Or races...
Well, even like among the Scorpions, they had like wildly different accents. And you could A, tell them apart that way, and then B, it fed into Marmu's previous claim that he had united several warring Scorpion tribes. So like, oh, apparently these are guys from different tribes. They have different accents.
And yet they seem to work together with no problem.
Yeah, so Marmu must be a good organizer, I guess.
Or he beat them up
until, yeah, well, he has his own methods of organization.
Well, you know.
I'd like to see Marmu, like, trying to organize a messy desk drawer or something. He'd be like, ah! Just, like, half his lines, by the way, were just, ah!
Which, I swear, the same line over and over again. It just got really sick of it after a while.
Yeah, near the end, there was too much of that, but oh well.
Yeah. Definitely Marmu was one of the highlights, if only because he was just so entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
The Scorpion design was definitely interesting, and they did utilize every part of the Scorpion. They had
the little front legs still like grab things here and there.
Still grabbed things. They used their tails. They had claws, and they would make gestures with them.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, oh, this is a human, and any little bits extra we don't use.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
One of the concerns you had at the beginning of the series was that the Scorpions wouldn't be able to emote properly with 4 eyes.
With 4 eyes, and the eyes not having pupils and not having a proper eyebrow and stuff. And it's true, they are limited in their ability to emote, but they actually made it work. You could do it well enough with what they could do in the eyes and then what the voice actors were carrying. So, you know, it was actually quite believable.
We forgot to mention that Arabanu died against...
Oh, yeah, Arabanu died.
And
Arabanu.
He had a thing with Korra, actually. We forgot to mention that because...
You said that. You mentioned that. And so Korra's sad that he's died. But I think part of the reason that didn't stick in my memory is because when he's, like, stung or whatever, I'm like, wait, is this one of the ones where the guy's actually dead? Or one of the ones where, never mind, he's fine in the next scene? Like, once you mess with the rules there, it throws some of the drama out the window some of the time.
Yeah. Although, you know, part of the reason it didn't stick in his mind is that his death did nothing. He jumped at Marmu, and then he got smashed by the tail. And then he died.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because it was shown earlier that he is pretty good at martial arts. He's probably one of the only war-capable frogs that we really felt was worth mentioning.
There's like 3 people in the village that know how to fight.
Yeah. And one of them's old.
Yeah.
And got mortally wounded the last time he fought, so, you know, whatever. I'm a bit disappointed that the possums didn't really get any character development. One thing that I did like about this series was that it avoided animal stereotypes.
Yeah, they made a couple references to turtles being slow, but really they were mostly known for doing magic, and that's not an usual turtle thing.
Yeah, I mean, they treated the different species as different people for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, they mentioned the platypuses looked weird, but they didn't say, oh, you lay eggs, so that makes you freaky.
Yeah.
Even though it does. The possums, on the other hand, I don't think spoke a single line, and anytime they got remotely startled, they played dead, and everyone noted, yeah, we know you're not actually dead.
Which is kind of funny, but yeah. Well, the possums had one little moment where their chieftain feeds Daryl some water when they have, like, none left. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's not really...
We need a little more than that, yeah.
Yeah.
Impression, it's a problem.
You gave lizards
Yeah, man. I'm gonna guess, honestly, that maybe they planned this out as a 9-episode series and gave everything time enough to grow and develop. And then some executive right at the end was like, hey, do the next 2 books, and you only have the budget for 4 more episodes. And they were like, ah, crap. And they just had to rush everything, because it clearly wasn't their style to rush.
Yeah, because
I bet they were disappointed too, you know?
It was decompressed enough that you got, like, you could have ended the series at episode 9.
Right, and end the season anyway, and then the next season can be book 2. It would be very logical.
Yeah. I mean, and it's clear that they're going to expand on it. They have been promoting season 2.
Yeah.
They have a comic that's already come out about Burnu going to find the poison scrolls, which are just a MacGuffin, but whatever.
Okay.
It's just that the second part is just compressed. It doesn't stop being good, it just introduces more head-scratcher moments if you don't know these additional details that were in the books.
Yeah.
Like, why the hell do the Hawks show up at all?
Yeah.
They are... Okay, at least you could say water is life, and then later on show that the canals are dried up. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But the Hawks were never mentioned at all.
Yeah.
You don't even have Gandalf, like, whispering to a moth or something.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't have any hint at all this would happen.
Yeah.
So, it's too bad, but overall, fun to watch.
Fun to watch. When season 2 comes out, I'll check it out, definitely.
Yeah.
So, I advise checking it out on Netflix.
And, you know, just get past the occasionally janky animation.
Yeah. If there's a flaw to this series, aside from the compressed storytelling for the last 4 episodes, it's that the animation is really jarring.
Well, sometimes. The good news is it has its high moments. It's just, there's the little bad moments you have to, like, skip over.
Yeah, like, at one point, Daryl, like, was facing them, and then the next frame, he's facing 180 degrees.
Yeah, he's just, like, teleports his head. You're like, wait, what? Ah, why did that happen? I mean, I'm sure the animators themselves were like, damn it, we don't want to leave it this way. And someone was like, deadline. And you're like, ah.
It's also possible it was just the Netflix buffering thing, because that can happen sometimes.
That can, but with what we'd seen before in the show, I doubt that was the problem. I think that was just a more egregious example of the animation getting janky.
CGI, it would definitely have... Some of the CGI is bad. Some of it is awful. There's really not much room in between the two. There's no really good CGI.
There's a couple of times when it just kind of blended in. You were like, okay, you know.
Yeah, but when you saw the spiders moving around, it was clear that their legs were not touching the ground.
Some of the walk cycles were off. Yeah, that was weird. That doesn't necessarily have to be CGI. You can get TG walk cycles that are off, but yeah. Oh, well. Still fun stuff. And congrats to Trevor Pyre, who played in the NFL and then wrote books about talking frogs. What will you think of next?
Yep. Don't really know what else to say.
Alright, thanks for we're done. Thanks for 101st episode.
Yep. Anyways, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sock Sons.
Signing off.